What an unsolved mystery is actually easy to explain. The dancing plague wasn't a curse at all. Alright, so this one sounds completely made up, but it actually happened. In the summer of 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, back then part of the Holy Roman Empire, a woman named Frau Trophia walked into the street and just started dancing. No music, no reason, just moving non-stop. Within a week, dozens joined her. Within a month, hundreds. People literally danced until they collapsed, and some even died from exhaustion, heart attacks, or dehydration. Chronicles say it was chaos, drums beating, priests trying to exorcise demons, and terrified crowds believing they'd angered Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancing and epilepsy. It became known as the Dancing Plague, and it's one of the strangest real events in human history. The accounts from the time make it sound like a supernatural horror movie. Eyewitnesses claimed people's feet were bleeding, their faces blank like they were possessed. The city authorities thought it was some divine punishment, so they did what medieval people always did. They tried to dance it out. They hired musicians, built a stage, and basically turned it into a city-wide exorcism party. Spoiler, it didn't help. The dancers kept going, day and night, some screaming that invisible forces were controlling them. Historians still call it one of the weirdest unsolved mass phenomena ever recorded. But here's the thing, it wasn't a curse, it wasn't saints, and it definitely wasn't magic. It was mass psychogenic illness. Basically, collective stress-induced hysteria. Strasbourg had been through famine, disease, and relentless fear of divine punishment. People were hungry, traumatized, and deeply religious. Frau Trophia probably had some kind of mental breakdown, and in a society where everyone believed in curses and saints, her behavior spread like wildfire. When you mix religious paranoia, stress, starvation, and no real understanding of mental health, you get a mass hallucination event that feels supernatural. Some researchers also think ergot poisoning, mold that grows on wet rye and causes LSD-like symptoms, might have played a role. It's not divine punishment, it's bad bread and worse anxiety. And yet, 500 years later, people still whisper about the cursed dance of Strasbourg, because the simple truth feels too dull. Nobody wants to hear, it was just mass panic and maybe trippy fungus. We prefer the poetry of a city dancing itself to death under a saint's curse. But I think that's what makes it weirdly haunting. How fragile we are, how easily fear can spread until whole cities move to a rhythm that isn't real. Maybe the real plague wasn't dancing at all, it was belief itself, spinning out of control. Cicada 3301 was just nerds recruiting nerds. Alright, this one might ruin some of the internet's favorite myths. But Cicada 3301? Yeah, it wasn't the Illuminati, it wasn't a shadow government, it wasn't some doomsday cult. It was just nerds looking for other nerds. You probably remember the buzz back in 2012. A mysterious black and white image got posted on 4chan with the words, "We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test." There was a picture of a cicada, and hidden in that image was a code that led to another code, then to another, and suddenly people were digging into medieval manuscripts, cryptography, steganography, TOR websites, and GPS coordinates that led to posters hung up in major cities across the world. It felt like the internet's version of National Treasure. And because no one ever took credit, the theories exploded. Was it the NSA recruiting cryptographers? Anonymous forming a cyber army? A cult trying to lure in the brightest minds to build a digital utopia? I remember threads where people swore Cicada was connected to Bitcoin's creation, or that they were preparing some massive cyber attack. The puzzles themselves were crazy, references to Mayan numerology, to William Blake poetry, to obscure coding languages. People who made progress started treating it like they were being initiated into a secret society. And when the second and third rounds of puzzles dropped in 2013 and 2014, it only fueled the fire. But here's the letdown. It was almost certainly just a group of privacy-focused cryptography enthusiasts recruiting people for a community project. Folks who allegedly made it in said they were invited to private forums where discussions were mostly about encryption, digital rights, and philosophical stuff about online freedom. Nothing supernatural, nothing government-run, just an underground club of like-minded coders and hackers. By the time the third round fizzled out, even the hardcore fans admitted it was likely a bunch of clever amateurs, not a hidden cabal. No assassinations, no controlling world banks, Just nerds recruiting nerds. So why won't the myth die? 'Cause nobody wants to believe they spent years chasing puzzles for what's basically a book club for crypto geeks. The internet loves mystery, and Cicada had the perfect ingredients. Anonymity, global reach, just enough weirdness to feel otherworldly. The real answer, that it was a glorified hobby project, isn't satisfying. And that says more about us than them. We want secret doors to hidden worlds so badly that we'll build them in our heads when the actual door just leads to a boring chat room. Stonehenge was just a calendar, guys. You know what's funny? People will drive halfway across England to stand in a field, look at a bunch of stones, and swear they're staring at an alien landing pad. Stonehenge has been hyped for centuries as one of the world's great unsolved mysteries. Massive slabs of rock, some dragged from over 100 miles away, standing in a circle in the middle of nowhere, perfectly aligned with the solstices. I remember going there on a school trip, freezing in the wind while a guide whispered about druids sacrificing people under the moonlight. And yeah, I'll admit, when you stand there, it feels heavy. Ancient. Like the air is thicker. That's probably why the theories got so wild. People have said it's a temple to forgotten gods, a site of human sacrifice, or a cosmic energy hub that lines up with ley lines across the earth. Then there's the alien stuff. How could primitive humans move such massive stones without advanced tech? I've seen TV shows claiming it's some kind of astronomical computer built by beings from another world. And I'll be real, it's fun to imagine a flying saucer hovering over Salisbury Plain, dropping stones like Lego bricks. But here's the truth. Stonehenge was just a calendar and gathering site. The alignment with the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset is no accident. It let people mark the seasons, which was crucial for farming, rituals, and survival. The whole "how did they move the stones" mystery isn't as wild as people make it either. Archaeologists have shown you can shift massive rocks with wooden sledges, ropes, rolling logs, and a ton of manpower. It's not alien tractor beams. It's just humans working together over generations. And Stonehenge isn't even unique. There are dozens of smaller henges and stone circles across Britain that served similar purposes. Stonehenge just happens to be the biggest and best preserved, which is why it gets the spotlight. But we don't want to hear that. A calendar? That's way too practical, too ordinary. We crave the impossible explanation because it makes us feel like the past was magical. And maybe that's the real reason Stonehenge endures as a mystery. It reminds us how uncomfortable we are with admitting that ancient people were just smart. Smarter than we give them credit for. They didn't need aliens or sorcery to shape their world. They just needed time, community, and grit. Which honestly might be scarier than believing in UFOs, because it proves there's no great mystery, just humans doing the impossible with their bare hands. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.